Good evening and welcome to another episode of Pegasus Presents. I'm Lauren Stefanelli, Access Coordinator here at Pegasus, and today we've got another wonderful theater event that's coming up in Ithaca this coming weekend that you can enjoy at the local CSMA. It's a staged reading called Are You Now or Have You Ever Been? Quote, unquote, about, we'll get into it in quite a little bit with the director who's here joining me, John Hertzler. Welcome, John. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Lauren. Nice to be here.
And before we get started on your event, I really didn't really know that I was going to be interviewing a celebrity, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Oh, who's coming?
That would be you.
Oh, that would be me.
So the blurb that I was sent said that not only are you a Ulysses Town's councilman, but you're an actor of quite some stature, of international stature, and that people might recognize you from some movies and plays. When I Googled you, I saw you in all kinds of amazing disguises, made up as all kind of different parts. But the one that they mentioned in the blurb was that you played a Klingon on a Star Trek movie.
Well, a Star Trek TV series, not a movie.
Oh,
I've never gotten into a movie.
You are not now, nor have you ever been
in a movie, a Star Trek movie. Yeah, I did Deep Space Nine. General Martok was a character I played in that. A few other little things in that, but that was the major character. I've retired as the Chancellor of the Klingon Empire, and so then I ran for office up in Ulysses.
Well, that's a big drop down from intergalactic Chancellor down to Ulysses Town Council.
Yeah, the town board.
And so, do you live in Ulysses?
Yes, live right outside of Trumansburg.
Okay.
And I've been there about 10 years. I came to this area to teach at Cornell, actually. And, I did a show first, Inherit the Wind. And then I said, this is
You were the
awfully
Clarence
pretty.
Darrow character?
I was the Clarence Darrow character, who said one of the most wonderful things, in my mind, anyway. He said, Clarence Darrow was brilliant. He was probably, lost causes are the only causes worth fighting for. That's a major quote, but one I like even more is, I hate broccoli because if I liked it, it's a good thing, because if I liked it, I'd eat it, and I just hate it. That's a lawyer's joke, the circuitous logic to get around to the punchline. Anyway, but I'm not here to talk about me.
Well, yes, we're here to talk about this play, and it's not really a play, it's a staged reading.
It's a staged reading,
And
yes.
it's going to be downtown at the CSMA on November 6th.
The Community School for Music and Arts.
And
tremendous place.
So there's actually a meaning to the title, Are You Now or Have You Ever Been? So why don't you explain?
That was called that's I don't know, there must have been a game show called the $64 Question, but the House of Un-American Activities Committee actually referred to that question, are you now, or have you ever been, a member of the Communist Party? They would ask that question of people that were subpoenaed to come in to talk to the committee to reveal their participation in communism in any way, shape, or form, but more importantly, to name names of other people, friends of theirs, associates, that they believe were involved with the Communist Party. And one of the things, the reason I wanted to do this staged reading, it's basically the play itself was written by Eric Bentley in the 70s. And he wrote it basically to encapsulate the testimony of a few of the people in Hollywood that were brought before the committee to show us just how horrendous and how misused government power can be. In this case, it was the House of Un-American Activities Committee, and it was formed in 1938, and it was formed, supposed to be aimed mostly at American involvement in Nazism and in the Ku Klux Klan. Mm-hmm. And they basically did nothing in that. They spent most of their time searching for communists and terrorizing people in show business. And this play is specifically about HUAC, the House Un-American Activities Committee, investigating party members and party affiliations in Hollywood. They named, the people that they called. Well, one of the reasons before I go there, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because one of the candidates and I wanted to do it the night before the elections, but that's Monday night. So I couldn't really get that, so Sunday night was close enough. This is one of the most important elections we're facing as a nation ever. They all seem to be that way, and they all seem to get more important as I get older. But one of the candidates for president keeps making the saying, the words, "Make America Great Again." Mm-hmm. And my great fear is that creating a new HUAC would be the way he intends to make America great again. He talks about enhanced vetting of the Muslim population. It's not a huge leap to go from witch hunting communists in 1950 to enhanced vetting of the Muslim population in 2016. So that's why I wanted to do this.
Well, before we go any further, I think maybe for some of the younger people in the audience to which this is either a vague and hazy topic or a new topic altogether, it would be helpful to show them a little background video that you brought that shows some of the real people at this real committee meeting. So we've got a little short clip that John was kind enough to bring with us, and it will show some real actors and celebrities talking to the House Un-American Activities Committee to give you an idea of the real events that this play is based on. Let's take a look.
At home, Americans feared red subversion. Congress revived the House Committee on Un-American Activities. In 1947, the committee investigated Hollywood, factory of America's imagination.
Have you ever observed any communistic information in any scripts?
Well, I have turned down quite a few scripts because I thought they were tinged with communistic ideas. They haven't attempted to use me, I don't think, because apparently they know that I'm not very sympathetic to communism.
There has been a small group within the Screen Actors Guild which has consistently opposed the policy of the Guild board and officers or the Guild itself as evidenced by the vote on various issues. That small clique has been referred to, has been discussed as more or less following the tactics that we associate with the Communist Party.
If I had my way about it, they'd all be sent back to Russia or some other unpleasant place.
10 witnesses, the Hollywood 10, defied the committee's right to ask about their beliefs.
Are you a member of the Communist Party? Or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
It's unfortunate and tragic that I have to teach this committee the basic principles of Americanism.
That's not the question. The question is, have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
I'm framing my answer in the only way in which any American citizen can frame his
Then you denied.
question which invades his absolutely invades
Then
his
you
right.
denied. You refuse to answer that question. Is that correct?
I have told you that I will offer my beliefs, my affiliations, and everything else to the American public, and they will know where I stand, as they do from what I have written.
Stand away from the stand.
For Americanism for many years, and I shall
stand away from the stand.
Fight for the Bill of Rights, which you are trying to
take
destroy.
this man away from the stand.
Others from the film industry demonstrated their support for the constitutional rights of the 10.
Are you or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
I believe I have the right to be confronted with any evidence which supports this question. I should like to see what you have.
Oh, well, you would.
Yes.
Well, you will pretty soon. The witness is excused.
Okay, we're back. I hope that gave you a little context for our discussion and a context for the play. How is the play going to differ from the real committee transcripts?
Well, it's Eric Bentley, the writer, drew from 1947 to 1957. Over 10 years, he selected various witnesses. And so it's a selection of witnesses that he's put together. It seems like it's all happening in 2 hours or an hour and a half.
But he's combing through these transcripts and editing and choosing.
Right. And one of the reasons he did that was because they extended over a 10-year period of time. Mm-hmm. And people kept being drawn into it names of people, just a few names of the people that were involved. Arthur Miller, Lucille Ball, Ruth Gordon, Jose Ferrar, Paul Robeson, Jerome Robbins, Lloyd Bridges. Now, you know Jeff Bridges and Bo Bridges. Their father was Lloyd Bridges. He couldn't work for 5 or 6 or 7 years.
So these are all people who were blacklisted or who were simply subpoenaed?
These were, subpoenaed. A few were subpoenaed. Lucille Ball. Arthur Miller was blacklisted. Jose Ferrar, he named names, so he wasn't blacklisted. Paul Robeson was definitely blacklisted. Jerome Robbins named names, so he wasn't. Lloyd Bridges didn't name names, so he was blacklisted. Will Geer, Grandpa Walton, he refused. He took the Fifth Amendment, the constitutional protection of the Fifth and First Amendment, freedom of association, and they blacklisted him. Several incredibly famous and talented writers, producers, and directors went to jail for years because they refused to cooperate. Other names, Danny Kaye, Edward G. Robinson, Lauren Bacall, Humphrey Bogart stood up against them. John Huston, Zero Mostel, John Garfield. Anyway,
the list goes on and on.
It goes on. It was 800 or 1,000 stars. I wanted to read, if I may. Should I do that now?
Yeah, you're going to read us a little excerpt from the staged reading.
Yes,
from
yes.
Bentley's play.
Yes, and I'm not nearly as talented as the people that are reading this. And let me tell you that a little bit about that first. There are many, many connections in Ithaca with what went on in HUAC. One of the men I'm a member of the Savage Club.
Which is?
The Savage Club is a not-for-profit arts organization where a bunch of us, a lot of older gentlemen and some younger gentlemen, get together once a month and basically sing or play the piano or play the accordion or do some magic for each other because we basically want to entertain each other. There's nothing more than that. When I first came in contact with them, I called them a league of very extraordinary gentlemen because they're all professors or retired professors of physics, astrophysics.
They want to be able to pull out that violin on the weekend or
Absolutely.
play a fiddle tune.
And it's a wonderful group. And they do a lot of concerts, a lot of choir concerts for various other charities. We raise money for other arts groups. That's basically what the Savage Club does. So this is a charity event. And the charity event benefactor or beneficiary will be Running to Places. Joey Steenhagen's group, which is a fabulous performing group for young people. It's wonderful.
So that means that the tickets are a little bit unusual.
Well, we're not really. We don't have tickets. It's so much. It's very difficult to get tickets printed up, and so we're using a donation. Suggesting a $10 donation, but...
And then people get their hands stamped and get to go in, like in a club or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then Running to Places gets the money to use for their wonderful programs all year long.
Yeah, that's everything that we make, if we make anything, will go to them. And this is also supported by the Savage Club, and it may be supported, although we haven't had word completely yet, from a tourism grant from the Tompkins County Chamber of Commerce.
So you've got a different person reading for every character in the transcript, right? How many people will be reading?
There are about 24 or 5 people, and I'm doing a couple of little things that are going to, about 24 people are involved.
That's quite a large number.
It's a large number, and they're all on stage at the same time. We're going to fill the entire room, the Hamblin Theater, with, hopefully it will look just like it did in the, now this is a picture, it's pretty fuzzy, of the actual event. And you'll see right there, right there, you can't really tell, that's Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was one of the major investigators on HUAC. So anyway, at one point in 1957, HUAC called in Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was a remarkable man, and I don't know if young people know him or not, but he was an All-American athlete. He was one of the greatest superstars in the opera that we have ever had, that America has ever produced. He played professional football, and he traveled the world as an ambassador for his race, an ambassador for African Americans and for America. But let me read a little bit of his testimony. In '57, he was brought in, and the chairman said, "This is not only legal, Mr. Robeson, but usual. By unanimous vote, this committee has been instructed to perform this very distasteful task." To whom am I speaking? You're speaking to the chairman of the committee, Mr. Walter. Yes, the Pennsylvania Walter. That is right. Representative of the steel workers. That is right. Of the coal mining workers. Not U.S. Steel, by any chance. A great patriot. That is right. You are the author of the bills that are going to keep all kinds of decent people out of the country. No, only your kind. Colored people, like myself, and just the Teutonic Anglo-Saxon stock you will let come in. We are trying to make it easier to get rid of your kind, too. You don't want any colored people to come in. And the chairman intercedes there. He says, "Proceed." Mr. Robeson says, "The reason I am here today, from the mouth of the State Department itself, is I should not be allowed to travel because I have struggled for the independence of the colonial peoples of Africa. For many years I have so labored, and I can say modestly that my name is very much honored all over Africa. The other reason I am here today, again from the State Department, and from the record of the Court of Appeals, is that when I am abroad, I speak out against injustices, against the Negro people of this land. I am not being tried for whether I am a communist. I am being tried for fighting for the rights of my people, who are still second-class citizens in the United States of America. My mother was born in your state, Mr. Walter. My mother was a Quaker, and my ancestors in the time of Washington baked bread for George Washington's troops when they crossed the Delaware. My own father was a slave. I stand here struggling for the rights of many people to be full citizens in this country, and they are not. They are not in Mississippi. They are not in Montgomery, Alabama. They are not in Washington, D.C. They are nowhere. You want to shut up every Negro who has the courage to fight for the rights of his people, for the rights of workers, and I have been on many picket lines for the steel workers too, Mr. Walter, and that is why I am here today." That is just a little taste.
Wow.
But it is powerful.
That's kind of a plum roll for whoever gets to do that on stage.
Fortunate we have one of the best actors I've ever worked with.
Okay.
Godfrey Simmons is going to be doing that role.
Oh, Godfrey's going to do it.
You know Godfrey.
Well, he's been on this show.
He's a powerful man.
Right, and he has a wonderful voice.
Absolutely, and I've worked with him several times too, and I've been an actor for 45, 46, 47 years, somewhere in there. And I love the people I work with. I love this business. And I love the ability to do a show like this. Even if it's just a staged reading, it carries a lot of punch.
Well, so it's a good time for it prior to the election. And
I hope so.
The other thing that you alluded to briefly was that there's an Ithaca connection to all of these hearings.
There are many.
Maybe you'd like to elaborate on some of those.
There are many. One of the readers in this is an attorney, a local attorney, who also owns the comic and poster store in the Commons, Aaron Pitchell. He's an intellectual property attorney as well. His cousin, Arnold Pitchell, was one of the Hollywood 19. Adam Pearl, his father, Irving Pearl, I think it was Irving, I hope I have that right, was, I've seen the redacted FBI file for his association regarding the Communist Party. The Berrigan brothers taught, I guess, at Cornell. There were a lot of professors that know, and a lot of members of the Savage Club that know the Berrigan brothers, who were in the Catonsville Nine, who protested strongly the Vietnam War. So the idea of protesting things that are wrong is not only, it's not limited to HUAC, it's not limited even to the Vietnam War protests. It's going on today. I mean, look at the Standing Rock Nation out there in South Dakota. I was arrested over at the Seneca, Save Seneca Lake protest at the Crestwood facility, along with Jamie Cromwell, another actor, friend of mine. People still have to stand up.
And so part of what you really want to have happen is for people to be aware of that.
I want people to stand up. And I want people to always stand up, and I want people to have courage to stand up. And this is a show about the courage that some people had in one of the most terrifying eras of Hollywood.
I think one of the interesting things about this whole period is the fact that it was on television.
Yeah, it was very early.
And so, it was on television, and the way I understand it, it was live.
I'm sure it was.
So that, and of course it's preserved, so that now we look back on it and we look at it differently than maybe people looked at it at that time.
Oh, I guarantee you. I mean, these people's careers were destroyed because after they appeared on television testifying regarding communism, they never worked again. It was a very hard time. It was the middle of the Cold War. It was probably the heat of the Cold War. I mean, I was in 1963. The HUAC lasted until 75. In 63, I was 13.
Hard to believe. I thought, Have You No Shame?
Ended it.
Have You No Decency, Sir, ended it. But
that was way back in the 40s when they were attacking the army.
See, I thought that was the end.
Yeah, no, it went on to 75. I forget what I was going to say there, but it was a terrifying time, and unfortunately, history tends to repeat itself. So we have to learn about history so we can do everything we can to keep history from repeating itself.
I think maybe we also have to learn that things that might look one way now in 20 or 30 or 50 years are going to look differently to the people then looking back. And if you're just afraid to speak up now, then what will your children or grandchildren think of you if you just remain silent while injustice was happening?
Lauren, you have to stand up for what you believe. It's as simple as that. And it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. And fortunately, there's always been a few Americans that will do that, no matter what the issue.
How many people did you need to kind of put this whole thing together, and how long did it take?
Oh, it doesn't. Well, and I don't say this egotistically, but it's mostly on me. And I wish I had a theater.
So it was your idea? You came up with it?
Well, I did a show by the Coen brothers, by one Coen brother, in '83. I was a company member at ACT in San Francisco, and they had a new play there called Mammon and Fist, and it was about the HUAC hearings. It was a comedy, a farce, the way Coen brothers can do it.
Right, of course, they could just have a wild time with it.
Absolutely. And so at that point I got interested. I said, I don't know what HUAC was. So then I began studying it. And I've had this idea. Last year I did a reading up at Aurora at Wells College of It Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis. That's getting a lot of notice now, that play. From a production over in Berkeley, California. I see it on the news. And Godfrey was a part of that as well. And I'm on the town board at Ulysses. So there's always been part of me that is theater and part of me that is politics. And this is a way, I think, to put it together for myself.
Yeah, it is. Well, so Godfrey, of course, Godfrey Simmons is part of the partnership that makes the Civic Ensemble happen.
Absolutely right.
And that's certainly a combination of theater and civic engagement,
absolutely.
if there ever was one.
They're doing wonderful stuff,
And
absolutely.
Is the organization at all involved in this?
No, just Godfrey. I wish I could get I'd love to do a full production of this, and maybe, depending on how this goes, maybe we can do that next year, the year after. There are a lot of people involved. The Savage Club is a not-for-profit, as I said. The Savage Club is, and they're co-producing this with my own little DBA called Bohemia House. I want to try to continue to do productions that I don't have to be in Los Angeles, and I don't have to be in New York City. I can be in Ithaca or even Trumansburg and still make art. That's what I would like to do.
Wow. So I guess I'm kind of surprised since isn't LA and New York the meccas for people who want to be actors?
Well, they are, and I spent about 30 years in California and 10 or 15 years in New York. I've spent my life doing theater, all kinds of theater, television, and a little bit of film. And with the digital revolution, you don't have to live in those things to be able to produce a movie. And that's my ultimate goal, is to make film right here in the Finger Lakes.
Wow. And so all of the people that are working if this is a charity event for Running to Places,
right.
Does that mean everybody who's involved in the production is giving their time?
Absolutely.
So nobody's getting paid.
Nobody's getting paid.
And if you attend this production, essentially every dollar that you donate
right.
goes to Running to Places,
right.
and you're benefiting from the fact that all of the participants are donating their time and their talents.
Everybody's donating their time.
Wow.
The woman you're hearing from there, Michelle, she's doing legal work for me and publicity. The people that are working on stage, I'll have a stage manager eventually, and they're all volunteering, and it's there's no more generous people on earth than the artists, and so that
Well,
I try not to waste anybody's time, but we all have to kick in a little bit of effort, a little bit of time to get such things accomplished.
Well, I'm pretty amazed that there's such generosity on the part of so many artists in our community.
Right.
And we are near the end of our show, so usually at the end of our show I give our guest a chance to promote his event directly to you, the audience, so I'm going to toss over to you now and let you talk directly to your camera, which is over there.
Well, that's not really a camera, that's the entire audience out there in TV land watching this. This is going to be November 6th, one show only, at the Community School for Music and Arts, CSMA, at 7 o'clock. There is no admission charge, but we are asking for donations. All the monies will go to Running to Places. It's starring about 25 to 26 people. You'll hear a song by Tony Pesco. You'll hear a little piano from Elizabeth Dawson. And the audience will participate at the top in a very, I think, very unique way. And you'll see the work of college professors, of area lawyers live on stage, doctors. There's an internal medicine. You'll see a lot of people that are in this community performing for you. It's a very important event. Please come.
Thank you so much for joining me. It was a delight to have you. And for all of you out there, I hope you take this one-time opportunity to see this amazing event. Thanks for being with us. Good night.